Hello.
Hi, Dulcie. We need to put the link up on WhatsApp.
I already put it.
You did? Oh, I didn't see it.
I just did.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Just did.
I'm sorry I'm not out there tonight. I intended to, but something came up here at home.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good. All right. So today you're going to study the vital principle. Single page. Okay. That's it. Let's see. Let's start our meeting tonight. Let's do our prayer. Divine Master Jesus. Thank you for united all of us. It is so much needed labor. As we working throughout times, devote ourselves to the teachings of God, and so well modeling by Jesus Christ. We all are here tonight to continue this task, so may we are able to apply the teachings of Christ, the example of Christ, our generous Master Jesus went through so much humiliation, so much suffering, misunderstood, so he could give it to all of us the pathway to the kingdom of God. As Jesus states, that all of us are lights. We all are the salt of the earth. As we continue to study and understand, we polish the latent sentiments that needs to unveil, so we may act more rational, fraternal, charitable towards all of one in need, with tolerance and love, forgiveness and understanding. Jesus Christ taught us how to redeem our soul. May tonight, with this study, and help from one another, we find the inner strength. So may our soul will enlighten as we continue to work arduously throughout time. Thank you so much for these moments that we are here together in name of Christ. And so be it.
And so be it.
So be it.
Thank you. All right. My beloved Chris, will you read for us?
Sure. Am I on here? Yeah, okay. The vital principle from the Spirit's book. The vital principle, this is, what number is this?
Yeah. Let me see. It's a chapter
4.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the vital principle. Topics are organic and inorganic beings, life and death, intelligence and instinct. Organic and inorganic beings. Organic beings are those possessing an inner source of activity that gives them life. They are born, they grow, reproduce, and die. They are provided with special organs in order to accomplish the various life functions that are appropriate for their needs and their self-preservation. They include human beings, animals, and plants. Inorganic beings possess neither vitality nor their own ability to move. They are formed solely by the aggregation of matter, minerals, water, air, etc. 60. Does one and the same force unite the material elements in both organic and inorganic bodies? Yes, the law of attraction, which is the same for all. 61. Is there any difference between the matter of organic and inorganic bodies? It is always the same matter, but in organic bodies, it is animalized.
Very interesting. It's always the same matter.
Right, but this a different kind of organizing principle is added, and
Yeah.
animalize. I think you could just say ensouled, too. They're ensouled.
Yeah.
So the soul takes the matter into its own principle and organizes it for its purposes as a life form.
Yes.
62. What is the cause of the animalization of matter? Its union with the vital principle. 63. Does this vital principle reside within some particular agent, or is it merely a property of organized matter? In other words, is it a cause or an effect? It is both. Life is an effect produced by the action of this agent upon matter. However, without matter, the agent is not life, just as matter cannot be alive without the agent. It gives life to all beings that absorb and assimilate it. 64. We have seen that spirit and matter are two elements comprising the universe. Does the vital principle form a third? Good question. It is certainly one of the elements required in the composition of the universe, but it has its origin in the modifications of the one universal matter. You may regard it as an element like oxygen or hydrogen, but even these are not truly primitive elements because they both derive from one and the same principle. The response to that would seem to imply that vitality does not result from a separate primitive agent, but rather from a special property of the universal matter which has undergone certain modifications. Answer, that follows from what we have just stated. 65, does the vital principle reside in any one of the bodies known to us? Answer, its source is in the universal fluid. It is what you call the magnetic fluid or the animalized electric fluid, an intermediary, the link between spirit and matter. But a question is, but the vital principle is not the same thing as the perispirit.
No. The vital principle is the principle that gives life. Like an example, the batteries of the car, right?
Mhm.
So have that energy that give life to the car. Without that energy, you have the whole you have the box of the batteries,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
car doesn't work. So it's the energy that give life for the soul. It's
Well,
our yeah.
yeah. The reason I'm asking though is because it says here that the vital principle is the link between spirit and matter, but elsewhere it says that the perispirit is the link between spirit and matter.
Yeah, in this sense here, the link mean in this concept mean the soul is interact with the world, the life that the soul has. So in this concept, but the spirit, the perispirit is the one who which translates and have all the archive information of the spirits. So whether we were in previous life, all that it's saved in the perispirit. Let's imagine our perispirit like a huge cabinet with many files, and each files has the information of each life that we already went through, that we already has gone through. So in order for it to present the image of the physical body of this spirit, the spirit reconnected to the spirits, the perispirits get the files that need to present and formulate the image of the body from that life. But the vital fluid is what gives life for organic beings. Like a flower, it's in order to bloom, to grow, etc., it's lively. The perispirit is the life. It's the life. So it's the connection between the physical body and the spirit, in a sense that without the vital fluid, there is no life in the body. So the spirits cannot do anything.
Mm.
Make sense?
I'll have to keep working with it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very hard to understand this concept. For example, let me give when we die, right? Our thoughts and who we are, our dreams, it's belong to the spirit. So when we die, the physicality just become a dead matter with no organic movements. So we can speak, we can talk, we can walk, we cannot do nothing of that. So the vital fluid is the energy which the body acts. Without the vital energy, we die. We have no life. So the vital fluid is the energy, is the quant that the body needs in order to continue exist in the physical matter. Is energy to the body. Organic matter and inorganic. Inorganic is those which doesn't have a life. For example, table. Organic are those which have a life, us, plants, animal. But in order for us to exist, is need the vital energy.
Is it like when you plug something in?
Yes.
Right. So like the hair dryer is not going to work unless you plug it in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, in order for the radio, that's a good example. In order for the radio to work, we need to plug in the radio in an electrical. plug, and then we can change the extension, you can hear music, you can hear news. That is what it is, the energy. But we don't understand everything just in one study, or is necessary for us to do many, like we are here tonight. And with that, we get more accustomed with the words, the expression, the terminology. And after time, it's become very common, very natural to us. At this moment, we're still learning. So sometimes it's get confused. What's vital fluidic, what's vital energy, what is fluidic cosm. So every can be confused. But let's just remind ourselves, what is the fluidic cosmic? The fluid cosmos is the energy in each planet, and everything is made up of it according to that planet. So in order for the matter to exist, has to be the material that belongs to that planet. That is the fluidic matter. The vital energy is the energy which gives life. When we no longer put water in a plant and leave the plant in a vase, closed vase, that plant dies. So it loses its vital energy. All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Does somebody else want to read?
I can read.
All right, thank you.
It's 65 now, right?
66.
66 now.
Oh, yeah. Is the vital principle the same for all organic beings? Yes, but is modified according to each species. It is the principle that enables our species to move and act. It also distinguishes them from inert matter because the movement of matter per se is not life. Matter is moved. It does not produce movement by itself. Matter is moved. Is God the matter?
God, no, God isn't matter. God is
Cause.
created. The creator of all things. God creates matter. God creates the spirits. God is all things, but God isn't matter. Matter is
God's vitality, his vitality.
No, it's not. No, vitality isn't God. It's the vehicle, is the source for a life to exist.
Sure, but I get the vital energy from God.
You get the vital energy from God.
So
Correct.
God is not the vital energy. God is the source that creates matter and cause.
God is cause and effect. So everything is created by God. Everything that we ever think and imagine that the man didn't create, God created. The vital energy is an element, is a source that is created by God, which define it as a life. When we are alive, we have our vital energy. For example, when someone is sick, right? Let's go imagine, and I'm even gonna say cancer or something more drastic. When someone has fever, for example, fever, it means there is inflammation in some part of our body. So it's fighting that you our body is doing, therefore it's creates fever. So fever, once someone has fever, they become debilitated, they become like sluggish and sad, right? Because it's take all our energy. The body needs all the energy, all the cells need all the energy to fight the intruder that is in our body. So in this moment, our vital energy are really weak, very weak, because is limited to the work. The body is sick, therefore the body is debilitated. We do not have enough energy. As we get healthy, our vital energy increases. So vital energy is the element that give matter life, that give the birds life, human and trees and everything that's organic beings, organic, it's a life, is vital, has vital principle.
Understand. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is vitality a permanent attribute for the vital energy agent? Or does it only develop through the functioning of the organs? It is develops only as the body develops. Haven't we already stated that without matter, this agent is not life per se? The union of two is necessary to produce life. Could we say that vitality is in latent state whenever the vital agent is not united with the body? Yes, that is the case. The organ as a whole comprise a sort of mechanism that is driven by inner activity of vital principle residing within them. This vital principle is the motive force behind our organic bodies that gives impulse to the organs, whose actions reciprocally maintains and develops the vital principle, equal somewhat the friction develops heat. The friction develops heat.
You know, when you like do that with your hands, we create a heat. The palms of our hands become warm. So the vital fluid is this energy of hot, but it depends also of the body. The body also contributes for it. The body healthy and we are alive, and then we have the vital fluid. As we get sick, the vital fluid diminish.
Okay.
One is connected to one another. If we do to our hands, you're going to see that's get warm.
Okay. Life and death. What causes the death of our organic beings? The organ wear out. Could we compare death to the cessation of movement in a machine that has broken down? Yes. If the machine has been badly assembled, it breaks down. Likewise, if the body becomes diseased, life leaves it. Why does a lesion of the heart seem to cause death more often than one in a way other organs? The heart is a life-producing machine. Nevertheless, it is not the only organ in which a lesion causes death. It's only one of the body's essential parts. What happens to the matter if the virtual principle of organic beings after death, the inert matter decomposes and used to form other beings? The vital principle returns to the vital mass. Vital mass. Interesting. After the death of the organic being, the element that had formed its body undergo new combination to form new beings. These new beings in run draw the principle of life and activity from the universe source. They absorb and assimilate it and restore it again to that source as soon as they themselves cease to exist. So you absorb, assimilate, and restore again.
So an example, our spirit is a individual, is individualized, individually. So our spirit contains our personality, who we are, and it is never dissipates, always will be, we Dulce always be Dulce, no matter how primitive Dulce is, no matter how enlightened Dulce is. The spirit is individualized. Vital fluidic is not individualized, is a vital principle energy. It's like, for example, a balloon. A balloon has a quantity of air inside this balloon. What happened to this balloon? This balloon start to get older, can be after hours, after day. As you know, the quantum inside of this balloon, the air inside of this balloon, it starts to evaporate. This is the vital fluidic inside of the balloon. We make as an analogy like the body, right? So first, this balloon filled with air is very strong. You can even try to touch, and it's hard. It then has this balloon and flows, go up to the air. Then this air inside the balloon start to evaporate throughout the balloon skin. It then loses its air. The balloon starts to shrink and it starts to come down. The balloon starts to die. So that's an example of a vital principle. Our vital principle is an element that exists and give life to the physical body. So all of us, for example, has this amount of vital fluidic, a vital principle according to the need and the program of this life. Let's go imagine the person X says, well, the program for the person X is to live until 100 years. This person X supposed to live until 100. It is persons which do exercise, have a healthy life and have a family. And then this person gets until the 100 years. So the person spends well their vital principle. But then we have the person Y. So the person Y is a little bit rebelled, like party too much, drink too much, has too much drugs, has too much sex, everything without moderation. So this person spends the vital principle because this person starts to get sick due to that behavior. And then this person becomes so ill that end up disincarnate at 30 years instead of hundreds. So the both beings, for example, are supposed to last 100 years. One behave well and use the vital principle. The other behave not so well, very rebelled, and loses the vital principle. So each one of us, we born with a quantum of vital principle. How we use this vital principle, that's will determine the lifetime that we have. If we use the vital principle wisely, we feel our life destiny, quote unquote, until it's supposed to. But if we live very rebellious way, we don't care about nothing, then we do not, we misuse our vital principle. So instead of it, die for 100, we die at 30 because we fill our body with decay and disease. So we can get cancer because you drink too much, and we have a behavior that's not appropriated, or if we eat too much fat food and and we don't and drink and do all the wrong things, so our body do not resist the extravagances that we give to the body. So our organs start to failing and we die. So we misused our vital principle. Make sense?
Yes.
But remember, sometimes people die at 15 and has done nothing wrong. It's because that person received the quantum, the vital principle until that date, because the person was supposed to live until 15 or 20 or 30. So it's important for us never judge anyone, because we are not God and we do not know. But it's clear, if you don't use our life correctly, we certainly misuse the vital principle.
I see.
Luana?
Okay, got it.
All right. Continuing.
Can you believe I cannot see I lost the thing on the.
Here you have the organs is impregnated, so to speak.
No, the thing is I cannot see no more. The
The
I
page?
lost. Yeah, I
Yeah.
lost my channel. I keep playing the computer. I lost.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Can you see, Chris?
No, Chris, can you see? Chris.
Yes, I can see it. It's just a little small.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to read.
Oh, you know what? I resized it. It's okay. I've got it. It's fine. That's okay. Yeah. So what paragraph I lost the
Your
my place.
organs are impregnated, so to speak, with the vital fluid, which enables all. Okay, right here.
Okay. So the organs are impregnated, so to speak, with the vital fluid, which enables all the body's components to actively communicate with one another when certain lesions occur and to restore functions that have temporarily ceased. However, when the elements essential for the functioning of the organs are destroyed or profoundly altered, the vital fluid cannot transmit this life-giving movement to them, and the organism dies. Yeah, I have a background in homeopathy and some training in homeopathy. And one of the things that homeopathy, homeopathy works with the vital principle,
Mm.
and it kind of marshals the power of the vital principle to affect healing in the body. But if a disease state has caused tissue change, like material change in the tissues, some of those tissue changes are permanent. They can't be reversed. And
Mm.
if you allow a disease state to go on long enough and to cause enough material change in the body, there's really not much the vital force can do.
Mm.
If you've allowed your circulatory system to become too, like you've damaged your liver too much and it's not able to regenerate, you can push your body too far. And in homeopathy, one of the challenges is determining in diagnosis whether or not a symptom profile
Mhm.
is going to respond to let's say the material physical level of the symptoms is going to respond to a remedy or not. And if it's not going to, then what will respond to a remedy, right?
Yes,
But
that's a very, very good example, Chris. See?
yeah.
It's inside of you, the whole information.
Well, I'm reading a book now very slowly. It's a book in another language, in Esperanto, on homeopatio kai spiritismo. So it's spiritism and homeopathy. And it's interesting. Okay, so yeah, the vital fluid cannot transmit the life-giving movement to organs that are profoundly altered.
Mhm.
So like don't smoke and don't drink, don't smoke.
But it's not just that. It can be so much stuff. It can be sex, can be food, can be, it can be even something simple like I'm lactose tolerant. So I cannot have milk. I get sick. But if I insisting in have milk, my body eventually I will have some disease like anyway, right?
That's
Because I
right.
don't
Yeah.
have the enzymes to catalyze this molecule. So we need to understand that we very often say about drugs, we say about drinking, we say about sex and negative thoughts, but also need to be careful in know ourselves, because we can very well slaving ourselves and make ourselves sick because we don't know what we can and we cannot eat.
But what about in the case of miraculous healings? Like there's this movie Breakthrough based on a true story where a young boy fell through the ice and he should have died. And he not only recovered, but didn't have any major problems that, no brain damage. No, like what if, isn't it possible that it's just, there's a power that's very, very strong inside of us that can heal to that extent?
Talk
It's
about the desire manifestation.
Yeah, like something like these miracles that it looks so grim for someone, and like they're gonna have some sort of side effect. They went without air for way longer than they should have, and nothing happened. Somebody did a prayer. It's a true story, called Breakthrough, and the mother just like prayed to God, and pretty much yelled to get connected to God, and it worked. It worked a miracle. So there I don't know if there's a point where it's too far.
always we need to remind ourselves that we never alone. And sometimes can be a situation that one should disincarnate in such age, 10 years old or 15 or 40. However, before the day to come for this spirit to disincarnate, there is a meeting in the spirit realm. It says, such and such person is doing so well with he or she life. It's important that this person have more years so she or he can accomplish more enlightenment during this lifetime. So sometimes our guardian angel, our mentor, ask for us to our lifespan to be expanded. This is very can be this is something normal according to those who understand. So maybe the person should die, but is a second chance. We see very much this happen for people that had very incurable cancer, and then sadly the doctor says you no longer go home and you no longer can stay here because there's nothing that you can do for you, and so on. And then this person, desperately asks God to extend their life, and if this person deserves it, the person's life is expanded. And
Right.
yeah, so this
I
is
saw that.
yeah.
I saw that too. There was back, oh God, how many years ago now? Maybe like 8 or something. I
Mhm.
watched a young on Facebook. Everybody's on Facebook, right? And I watched a young boy. They wrote a book about him. You can read the book. It's The Boy in a Million or something. He had 2 rare cancers, and he was going to hospice, and he had black fingers, and like everything was just really bad. But the mother was bringing in, now this, so they also was praying, but there was also, the mother was bringing in these special tinctures of marijuana, like some, I don't know how it was done, but it was like a tincture, like an oil, and was giving this to him, and it was against the law. He was in England, and suddenly he just had a reverse. And
Mhm.
he's been alive ever since. There's a book about it, and I watched it happen because I watched it before the book, because I was like, oh, please send some prayers, and he, and then it just reversed. It just like completely, his fingers went from black to normal, and I mean, there's
Yeah.
just things that, like, it's incredible, the
Oh,
powers that
yeah. I'm just gonna go back to John of God a little bit.
oh yeah, yeah,
Despite what happened to him, many people had received cure through him, right? And the person, some people walked, some people healed from cancer, and other people didn't.
right,
No matter how long they were there in his farm, the people didn't receive any benefits. What
right,
we need to remind ourselves that many times we no longer need to go through certain kind of disease, or with the time that we had that disease, we had already learned what should be learned. So what happened is, then when we get healed from the situation, all the cases that also happen according to the spirits, many times the disease is no longer in a spirit. So meaning the disease not even longer registered in the perispirit. The disease is just in the body. So the person had already purified themselves in different life. So when the person reincarnates, this disease is just a little reminiscence of the disease that's left. So the person still have the disease due to the previous situation, but the person able to get cured from it. When they go to places like John of God or spirit healing, this person are able to be healed because the disease is no longer internalized in the spirit. It's already left. It's just for the person to cleanse the physical body. An example. Another situation that Chico said, Chico Zeva, that the spirit said many times someone had to die earlier because that's the way it is. The time has arrived. But this person so involved, so dedicated to the work that the person is doing, that the person has been done, it created so many benefits for the society and for those around, that the lifespan of this person is extended. They do not disincarnate it during the time. That's why sometimes people get very sick, very ill, but do not die, is because the spiritual realm decide to God increases the life of this being because someone has some guardian angel, Jesus Christ have interfered in the program, has asked God to allow this being to continue to stay because it's doing good to our planet. And a good example of it is Mother Teresa. She was a very sick lady. She had migraines, she had the disease, but yet she lived until her elder age. Chico Xavier, Divaldo Franco had cancer in his throat and was able to be healed by Chico Xavier. He had another problem, and so on. So it's important for us to remind ourselves that God is the one who gives us life, and God is the one who takes the life away. So if others being ask God for us to stay more due to the benefits that we are doing, certainly our lives will be increased. So according to our knowledge, is not everything predestining. You're going to die such day. Has a lot to do how we behave, right? For example, a good example and a negative example, a sad example, is suicide. Many suicidals, they should live until old age according to their account that they give after death, and those accounts are in a heaven hell book. But because they committed suicide, so more than 50 years left for them to live. So it's important for us to remind ourselves that is not such a thing as predestining, it's destiny. Because once who take the life away, for example, dies before the time has arrived. All right, let's continue.
Let's see. Okay, a body's organs necessarily react upon one another to a lesser or greater extent. And this reciprocity of action results from their being in harmony as a whole. Their functions cease when something destroys this harmony, just like what occurs in the movement of a mechanism when its essential components break down, or like a clock that has been worn out by use or broken by accident, and in which there is no longer any motive force to keep it running. We have an even better image of life and death in an electronic device. Did they have electronic devices? I don't think they had electronics. I think they had electric devices, but such a device receives electricity and stores it in a latent state, as do all bodies in nature. However, the electric phenomenon does not manifest until the electric fluid is put in motion by a certain cause. Only then can we say that the device is alive.
Okay, and here it has a little information in the number 25 that was on the top. Let me see what they saying here. The ethereal fluid is spread throughout the physical body is like a telegraph that transmits sensation to the sensitive center, which is the spirit. The nerves are the conduct wires flow for this fluid, whose course, however, can be interrupted by a agent that isolates it from the brain. Martvi, The Console Spirit, Brazilian Federation, 1980, page 284. The vital fluid is also called the vital principle, is a modified from the universe cosmic fluid. It is the basic element of life. Life here is considered in the meaning attributed by science, which is characterized by birth, growth, reproduction, and death. Gurgel, Luis Carlos, and Passes Spirit Brazilian Federation. Is a little bit note from the book Passes, written by Luis Carlos and and sold by the Brazilian Federation. So now we continue to the next page.
Right, blah, blah, blah. So I missed the, so the
When
cause
the
of the,
cause, when the cause of the
the
activity,
activity ceases, so does the phenomenon. The device returns to the state of inertia. Organic bodies may thus be compared to batteries or electronic devices in which the vital fluid's activity produces the phenomenon of life. The cessation of this activity causes death. The amount of vital fluid is not the same in all organic beings. It varies according to species and is not constant in the same individual or in the various individuals of the same species. There are those who are saturated, so to speak, with this fluid, while others possess barely enough of it. That is why for some, life is more active, more energetic, and in a certain way more superabundant. The amount of vital fluid may become depleted and insufficient for maintaining a life if it is not renewed by absorbing and assimilating substances that contain it. Finally, the vital fluid may be transmitted from one individual to another. Those who have greater quantities of it can give it to those who have less, and in certain cases, they can bring back a life on the verge of being extinguished.
wow. Wow, wow. That is amazing, right? And I like this example, like they said in the final, that sometimes we can share our vital fluid. We can see it when we go to visit someone who is sick. Some people comes and the person revigorates and become better, due to the presence of the ones who went to visit. So that is a good example that vital principle is also transmitted and shared. And again, those who have the ability to give away vital principle immediately the person's vital principle is restored. So the person never become depleted because he or she had shared the vital principle. It's important for us to remind ourselves that.
I'm sorry, how do you do that? Like, we can do this?
For example, when I even see it's the spirits who do the whole work. An example, for example, if you go visit someone who is sick or somebody is not very well, and then after the visit of that person, the person feel better. Likewise, can be the other way around. Somebody is the one who goes to visit, is the one who need the vital principle. So the person who's sick, instead of getting well and have more vital, and the person has more vital than the vital principle they don't want to visit, so gives the vital principle for this person, and then the sick become more depleting. So it's important for us to remind ourselves, become depleted, but immediately is restored. So it's important for us to remind ourselves that we don't know when, we just know that this happened. Have anyone remember or felt this is able to notice with our five senses? We find somebody, friends, and after we spend a little time with this person, we feel great. We feel revigorate and it's so wonderful. It then also has the all the way around. We spend some time with someone, and then when this person leaves, we feel like no energy and we feel tired. So it's because our energy was giving way to this person. But again, after a while, this energy is restored. So this is the best way that we can see. A good example of it, it's very well clear with plants. Plants have a great ability to receive energy from others, uh, from perceived energies around. I remembered my mom and even myself. I had a beautiful, beautiful flower in my house, gorgeous flowers. And we did at my home movie nights in order to fund my fundraiser for our spirit center. Was a beautiful summer day evening. Was a lot of people there watch the movie. We did such a great, we had such a great evening. And I had this beautiful flower, very gentle flower, was beautiful on Saturday. By Sunday night, the plant was drooping, and there was nothing that I could do to bring that plant's life to life. And of no explanation, the plant died. And it was a plant that didn't have no sides, that was sick, that was not well, and the plant died. Why? Because one of the person who came to the movie nights in my home had such an energy that the plant didn't resist. That's why, as spiritists, we are very careful who we invited to come to our house. Our home is one of the most sacred place. We don't bring everybody to our home. We really is a place that we really select the ones who comes to our home, because many times depend of the one who comes to our home, brings so much misery, and the person leave and the misery stays. So it's important for us be aware. It's not being mean. It's
So
not being,
so the plant died because of someone's energy that was not good.
yeah,
Oh no.
yes, can happen. So
Aw.
yeah, so it's important for us to thinking of it and not bringing any person to our house, because you don't know the energy that the person has.
Right, and that's why it really stinks living with other people, and I can hear them. So it's not even like private, and it's really been bothering me. But like, and it all started happening where I started hearing people even more because of the pandemic and being home more.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm just so super sensitive to other people's energies,
Mhm.
and it's
That's
not a very.
why.
That's why I wanted to buy a house. It's because I knew that this was not good for me.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
it's very
yeah,
important
yeah.
also to lift our vibration, to lift ourselves to goodness, because of course, when it comes to human beings, the plant is more sensitive, and depends the plants. It's not all plants that die. Some plants it's more gentle. You can see with the leaves, the branches, very delicate. But in human beings, we have a strong energy. So when we reach some level of vibration, some level of energy, even those who have very lower energy vibration do not attach to us. They're not able to, quote take our energy if we are in high vibration vibes. But what happened is, unfortunately, when we succumb to anger, negative emotions, then our vibrations go down, and then the negative energy can have a access to us. In other words, when we leave a gap, then when the lower vibrations are able to reach us.
So what do you do if like today, for example, one of the neighbors, she just started to like say things about this neighbor and that neighbor, and some of them were like people you shouldn't say things about because they might retaliate.
Mhm.
And she went to get up and look, and I was just like, oh, could you like not do that? Like, it's like I don't want to be like, I basically was telling her like, yeah, well, I don't like to talk about anybody at all, good or bad. I just like, I mean, I do say good, but I'm just saying like I just don't want to say anything that could be misconstrued or anything. And it's like it was just really awkward, but I tried to handle it the best I could because I don't want the negativity coming towards me, and that happens. Yeah.
Yes. In moments like this, you can say, excuse me, I really need to be someplace else, or
Yeah.
excuse me, I have to go inside.
Yeah.
You can literally leave, it's better, because if it's someone that you can say something the persons do not understand, because say really I don't like to talk about and etc etc, the
Yeah.
persons don't care. They don't have the
I think
ability.
she did catch on. I don't think
Okay.
she, yeah, because she knows what happened to my car. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, look, I was just like, I said, could you like not get up and look at her? Like, like we're talking about her. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, "Oh, could you like not do that?" And she sat down. She's like, I think she was just naive, maybe. Like,
Yes.
but I'm not naive because I have consequences.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. So if you feel, or
Yeah.
any one of us, if we feel that we're not comfortable and to have some sort of a conversation, we
Yeah.
can say, well, I'm not really comfortable to, to have this kind of a
I
conversation.
kind of did. I think she caught on. She's kind of pleasant, but I guess she was just, just talking. Like she wasn't being nasty about the
Yeah,
gossiping, but
yeah,
like it was going into levels where you're just like, I don't want to talk like
of
about all the
course.
problems because, oh, she was talking to, Lisa about all the problems, and it's just like, I
Yeah,
don't want to be associated.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Thank you, God, that you already have this awareness. This is
Yeah,
one.
I'm learning.
Yeah. So now let's go to the gospel. We just finished to study the Spirit's book. Let's go to the gospel. What is the gospel? The Spirit. Okay. Where the gospel? Yeah. Now we're going to study the gospel. Let's see where we left the last time. Oh.
Mm.
All right. Cristina Oliveira,
Yes.
would you like to read a little bit? I know you love to read.
All right. Where?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Can you see?
Yes. The other hand, though.
Hold on a second. Let me see where it was.
22.
Was the red one? So here.
Okay. The blessed are the justice. Start at the justice. Okay. The justice of affliction. The compensations that Jesus compromises to the afflicted on earth cannot occur except in the future life. Without certainty about the future, these maxims would be nonsense. Even more, they would be falsehood, but even with the certainty, it's difficult to understand that usefulnesses of suffering in order to be happy. It is said that it is in order to have greater merit. But the one must ask, why do some suffer more than others? Why are some born into poverty and others into opulence without having done anything to justify such a position? Why does nothing ever work out for some? Why everything seems to smile on others? But what is even harder to grasp in seeing benefits and misfortune so equally divided between vice and virtue. Seeing virtuous people suffer alongside the wicked one who prosper. Faith in the future might offer consolation and leap to patience, but it does not explain those anomalies which appear to believe God's justice. However, if one believes in God, one cannot conceive of God apart from infinite perfection. God must be all-powerful, holy, just, and holy God. Otherwise, God will not be God. If God is supreme God and just, then God can neither act capriciously or nor partially. Therefore, the vicissitudes of life have a cause. And since God is just, the cause must be also just. This is what everyone must understand very well. By means of Jesus' teachings, God has placed humans on the path towards that cause. And today, having deemed them sufficiently nature to understand it, God has revealed it entirely through Spiritism, through the voice of Spiritists.
So just a little comment here. Sometimes we, just because we don't see, is not there, right? So sometimes we see someone who does, a good example of it, it's drug dealers, right? Drug dealers. They sell drugs, or any person who does bad things. They seems that they get away with, and they live a large life, very well, good life. And then what happened? Something corrupt. A good example of it is many people in the Wall Street who does very bad business for other people, right? So and this person lives very largely with someone monies. And it seems like this person is never going to be corrupt. I suddenly one day, something happened, and then the person fails, and the truth comes to the surface. And we have seen many times people going to the jail due to their behavior. So many times we feel that there isn't justice, but we must trust, believe, and have faith in God. It's not in a sense of revenge, because we should never wishes it to anyone. We should not judge or criticize anyone, even though we do. All of us in certain point, and so on. Therefore, trust in God. God sees all things. Nothing passes through the eyes of God. All those who created destruction to our society will certainly suffer the consequences of it, and many times for many lives. Okay, so it's important for us to remind ourselves of it.
Sure. Current causes of affliction. The vicissitudes of life are two types. If one prefers, they have two very different sources that are important to differentiate. Some have their cause in the present life, or the outside of it. On searching for the source of earthly misfortune, it be realized that many are the natural consequences of the character and behavior of those who bear them. How many fell due to their own fault? How many are the victim of their own imprudence, pride, and ambition? How many ruin themselves for lack of discipline or perseverance, for wrong conduct, or for not having limited their desires? How many unfortunate marriages there are because they result from calculated self-interest or vanity, and because the heart has played no part? How many disagreements and disastrous quarrels could have been avoided with more moderation and less susceptibility? How many wills and infirmities are the consequences of intemperance and excess of all kinds? How many parents are unhappy with their children because they did not combat their bad inclinations right from start, whether from weaknesses or indifference? They allowed the seeds of pride, selfishnesses, and foolish vanity to develop in them, withering their hearts. Afterwards, much later, in reaping what they have sown, they are surprised and afflicted by their children's lack of respect and gratitude. Let all those who are stricken in their hearts of life's vicissitudes, and disappointments. Calmly examine their conscience. Let them go back step by step to the source in the misfortune that afflict them, and see whether they would not often say, if you only I had or had not done this or that, I would not be in such a conundrum. Who they blame for all their afflictions but themselves. Human are thus, in this majority of cases, the artisans of their own misfortune, but instead of acknowledging this fact, but find it simpler and less humiliating of their vanity to accuse fate, providence, bad luck, or their unlucky stars, whereas the unlucky stars lies in their own carelessness. Misfortunes of this nature assuredly compromise and noteworthy contingent in life vicissitudes, and humans will avoid them only by working with the moral as well as the intellectual improvements. Wow.
Very good. Maybe we should comment, right? Was such a rich paragraph. Is any comments? It's so important for us to remind ourselves that many times we blame others for our shortcomings, right? Well, if I haven't met this person, I wouldn't not done such. If I haven't, always feels like we don't want it to be accountable or take responsibilities for our actions. So many times it's easier to blame others. Feels right at the moment to do that. The truth is, when we behave in this way, we not recognize our shortcomings, and even worse, we're not able to correct our imperfections. And I believe at this moment, globally, the example of a parents. Many parents today, of course, not all, but many parents, they no longer have a patience with their children. They no longer spend time with their children because it's not their children are not good listeners. They do what they feel that's right for them. So the parents become very antagonists to their own children. It brings beings many times when this child has showing some challenges, the parents, instead of correct those challenges, they went for easier way. It can be offer gifts in order to buy that child peace of mind, meaning if a child has talked too much and the parents wanted to talk to their friend on the phone. So then what the parents do, here's the iPad, play for my iPad while mom is in the phone. So when we behave like that, we are just postpone our time with our children, and also we're not paying attention which what our children is requesting from us. We're keeping postpone time, and after a while this child is no longer child. this child become a teenagers. It then goes around, comes around. This is happen even if the parents are good, but we can imagine what can happen with the parents who are not present. When I say present, is actually present, being there for the children, whether it is going to school, and listen to the child when arrives from school, their needs and wants, what they have to report, what happened during the day. So the parents have to be very, very present, because the day we arrived, where this child may grow without no foundation, no support, this child will act not very good, and the parents will regret for not being the ones who actually taught that child to behave. When we do not fulfill our duties, other people do. It many times can be the authority, right? If you don't teach our children disciplines, you need to do your homework. You must sleep at 7 o'clock because tomorrow have school. Things very simple, but if you don't care, it's become very gigant. When we realize this child, it's no longer listens to the parents, and inside of the one's house becomes a battlefield. So we need to acknowledge our responsibilities as parents, be present. If we decided to have a child, we must be present and educate our child the best of our ability. Because if you don't do, others certainly do. Authority, and many times not the great ones, right? Police and so on. So we need to make a commitment ourselves, despise those electronic devices, to be around, but we don't need to give a 1-year-old an iPad so this child can be quiet. We must remind ourselves many, many times, these children not even have the intellectual or the physical ability to deal with those devices. And then what happened is many predators on the internet do things to these children that is not so great. We need to be aware of our children. And that's it's just the beginning. Nowadays, we have seeing parents who do not want to have no responsibility to their child. I want this child to become very impulsive, imperative. They go to the doctor and ask the doctors to give a medicine for this child. And the reason they do this is because they did spend the time with this child when it was needed. He gave the iPad when the child was a very young age. When this child becomes 7, 8, this child is very imperative because the brain is very, very stimulated. Does it happen to all children? Absolutely not, but can happen. Can happen because those softwares, those electronic devices are very precoce for the brains that still are being developed. The other way around, sorry. The children is still very precoce to deal with devices that are made, level of technology are made for adults. You know, the brain is still formed. We need to be more responsible. We need to be more committed and disciplined so we create a better society for our children. So now it's is 9 o'clock, 3 minutes to 9. So I wonder who you volunteering to do the prayer tonight. Nobody's volunteering. I volunteering Alessandra.
Let's do it. Right?
Let's do it, exactly. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, I'm going to invite everyone to close your eyes, to take a deep breath in, elevate your thoughts to the higher, to God. And I would like to thank you, God, and all spirituality for the opportunity to be studying this night. For all of those that are with us, giving us supports, all our group, incarnated and disincarnated, that is assisting us in allowing us, preparing us to be free this moment, so we can all be connected and learn together. I want to thank my mentor and the mentor of this house that is being guiding us and giving us the support. Allow us, all of us, that bring something with us as we leave this Zoom meeting, this room, that we could like hold in our hearts and our thoughts something from the study tonight, something that we could carry with us through our weekend, through our days, something that we could remember. Protect it, and I'm wishing that everyone have a peaceful night, and that all the spirituality, this good energy could visit every single one's home, or anyone that is in your mind and your thoughts in this moment, that you'd like to send this energy. And may all of us to be strong and together again safely in next week, in the weeks to come. My gratitude for this night, and so be it.
So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, friends. It's always so lovely to be here. Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. And
Yes, tonight, thank you for the input of everyone tonight. We
night.
really appreciated these moments. Thank you, and may God be with all of us.
And with you.
Good
and
night, everyone.
Good night, friends. Bye-bye.
Good night.